Welcome back to the Stephen A. Show. Adam, you're back. How was the vacation?
It was great, Stephen. Plenty of sun, plenty of good food, plenty of beach time. Even went out into the jungle. Even had some iguanas tossed on me.
Oh, wow.
It was what everyone looks for in a vacation in Belize. And yeah, I'm sad to be back.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I need to go on your Instagram and check out those pictures. I mean, you like a great time. And you were gone 2 weeks?
10 days, so
10
not
days.
quite 2 weeks, but it was yeah.
Were you ready to get back, or were you like, well, I could be out here longer?
No, we were definitely we our last place was like a little house on the beach, basically, with its own little pool. And we woke up the last day and we're like, maybe one more day, maybe a couple more days. It's not that I ever want to have COVID, but we have to take a test before you leave. And you're like, well, if it comes back positive, 10 more days on the beach isn't the worst thing. So yeah, exactly. It was tough coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So Belize,
welcome.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Belize has one of the best coral reefs in the whole entire planet. If you ever get an opportunity to snorkel it or do deep diving, check it out.
We'll do. All right, well, let y'all take it away with movie reviews.
Sure thing. So I saw the movie of the moment and possibly the superhero movie of the year, I think, actually of the past couple of years, The Batman. So for anyone unfamiliar, this is kind of a reboot to the Batman series. Robert Pattinson plays the main role. He plays Bruce Wayne in Batman. And this is a more darker, grittier Batman than I think we've ever seen. And the director, Matt Reeves, who is known for a lot of movies, the one with the camera, and now, of course, as soon as I say Cloverfield, he did Cloverfield, he did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of Planet of the Apes. He decided to do a different Batman that kind of pulls in from, if anyone's familiar with the comic series, the year one Batman, the year two, the Long Halloween. And in this version of Batman, there is a mystery killer called the Riddler that is going through Gotham and killing certain people. And Batman has to hunt him down and try to figure out why he's doing what he's doing, as well as trying to stop him. And this movie, I think I describe it best as a season of True Detective with Batman as the detective. That's really what it is. It's really, if for anyone who doesn't like superhero movies, this movie is a perfect movie for you. If you like crime thrillers, if you like the movie Seven, anything like that, you're really getting more of that detective aspect. And then you have your superheroes. And even the silly superheroes like the Riddler is more grounded. We have the Penguin, we have Catwoman. We have a lot of characters that are more grounded in this Gotham City than we've seen in previous iterations of the Batman. And I'm sure Chike, you saw it, so you can add to it. But overall, I thought it was great. A little long, it's almost 3 hours long. I think they could have shaved probably like 15 minutes off of it and still had the same effect. But highly recommend. This is, I don't think we can ever get enough of Batman movies. Lego Batman has shown us this. So as long as they're good, let's just keep them coming.
Yeah, so I got exactly what you felt, because I said that in the middle of watching it. I was like, this is not a Batman movie. This is a detective movie. This is a detective film. And although Batman is known as the detective, he is a detective. However, I signed up for a Batman movie. I wanted to see and I'm sorry if I gotta be the wet noodle here, but I saw a vampire in Batman's clothing on the screen. And I saw, even though it's supposed to be earlier on in Batman's career, I saw someone who wanted to be Batman, not necessarily Batman. I'm not buying Mr. Pattinson as Batman. I'm not buying it.
Interesting.
It was a little, even in the Christian Bale, the Dark Knight series, even in that trilogy of films, there was some light coming in at some point in time in that movie, even though that was a dark shot movie and it was dark. There were some moments of light in that movie. This whole movie was dark, like it was shot underground in a cave. Like it rained every day. It was gray every day. He had soot around his eyes every day. His hair was always bedheaded every day. I think they did more for Robert's image as opposed to the character in which he was supposed to play. I didn't see Bruce Wayne in there at all. There was no Bruce Wayne at all in there to me.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So we don't really see much of Bruce Wayne in this movie. It's mostly Batman. And so, yeah, you're right. There's a very interesting aspect. This is probably the least Bruce Wayne Batman Pattinson is, as opposed to, Christian Bale, even Ben Affleck. He did Bruce Wayne right? Like he played that rich guy that kind of gallivants about town. This is definitely, you're right. It's not the Bruce Wayne that we're used to.
No, it's not. And I'm factoring in how they would move forward, especially now having the Justice League established. How does this particular Batman, this particular actor playing this character, how does he fit into that universe? Because I don't see him apart. I don't see him part of that. The pH balance would be off.
Well, so and supposedly they're going to do more of a Batman universe, like a mini Batman cinematic kind of universe, or a Batman verse, I think was what I've heard HBO is going to look into, or Warner Brothers is they're going to kind of expand that world instead of putting him in that DCU kind of world.
So if they do that, then they can keep Robert for that particular Batman and keep him over there, not in conjunction with everything else. Keep him over there. But I put something up in my stories, and it was a joke, but I'm being very serious. Warner Brothers, why don't you look at Adam Driver as being Batman? I think that he's very qualified to play Bruce Wayne and Batman and pull it off.
What's interesting, though, and I don't know how much this affects, but I've heard when DC is casting for their superhero movies, they try to avoid actors who have played in Marvel movies. For the obvious reasons for the confusion. They might also, just because it's a Disney property, they might also try to shy away from picking Star Wars actors. I don't know if that would be a case, but that might be part of the reasoning why they're kind of shying away from that.
I'm telling you, Adam Driver would be the ticket. Keanu Reeves probably could do a good Batman too, but he's like saturated right now. You can't. He has too much going on,
and he's too old. We need a young Batman.
Well, I mean, moving forward, Batman is going to have edge on him where his story left off, because by the time the Justice League comes around, Bruce Wayne is aged. Like, he's not the young man that he used to be. That's why he needs friends, because he needs help.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just something to think about, Warner Brothers. Think about it.
I like Pattinson. I thought he did a good job. He did the brooding.
I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy the movie. I enjoyed the movie. It was a good time out. It's my first time being back in the theater. It was okay. It was good. But the little kid inside of me, the one that loves comic books and was enthralled with Batman, he wasn't happy about Robert being.
Yeah, Batman. It's the least comic booky of the Batman movies.
I agree. But cinematography was off the hook. Some of those shots, and some of those shots, I think that they forgave some of the movie just to get some of those shots. Like, I think some of the movie was just about the shots, which were beautiful.
I agree. Setting it up and playing the Nirvana song and some of the scene, and you know what they were trying to do, and they lingered, and that's where I said they could shave 15 minutes. They could have sped up some of these scenes, but I get it for the artistic element, the way they framed everything. You're right. They lingered on those in a sense to give you the scale of it. And yeah, you're like you said, it was well done.
And one more thing I want to add, and I don't know if anyone else has paid attention. I was discussing it with one of my friends yesterday. It's just, this is my opinion. Mr. Pattinson, you might want to take some classes of self-defense to learn how to fight a little bit better. I am used to seeing full fight scenes. I don't want cuts and edits to make it look like you know what you're doing. I need for you to take 6 months and go learn the craft and then portray it on screen so you look like you're actually the Batman and that you're actually fighting. Those fight scenes, for it to be a Batman movie, was trash to me. When you have movies like Bourne Identity, you have John Wick, you have all these other films where the fight scenes take fighting to another level, and you are a superhero. You are supposed to kick butt royally, and I didn't get that in this film. There were some decent fight scenes, but it wasn't, we've become elevated with fight scenes by this point.
Well, in defense, it might have not been Pattinson's decision. It might have been the director that said, I wanted the fight scenes to look like these. So blame, I'm just saying, maybe blame the director, because that might have been the decision. I did, but I will say this, and it's not really much of a spoiler, but I did like that you did see Batman not be perfect, right? When he was going off the building and he tumbles and falls off. And that might be part of why the fight scenes are like they were. This is still a Batman that's learning how to be who he will become.
So I was being that person in the theater that was kind of talking, and the crowd, the room was laughing at me, in those scenes where he would trip and fall, like, oh, that's not Batman. And everyone would laugh. And then if you notice, there was a point in time where he kind of had it together, and I was like, oh, now that's Batman. Now that's what I'm talking about. So I do like the fact that him not being a perfect was part of the story, but they should have really played that. They tried to make it subtle, but they really should have played that more, because it was more like year one. In year one, Batman had some issues. He didn't quite have it together. He was still working it out. And you can kind of tell about his equipment. He didn't have all the stuff that Batman normally has. And that what was it? What's it called? The Batmobile? Oh, that was raggedy.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was like a true... it was better than the tank from the Nolan ones, right?
I love that. The Grambler, I love
that was a little bit too over the top, right? That was, again, and I know the Nolan ones have that comic booky element, but that was it was interesting to see a Batman who built, it looks like he actually built this car, right? And he put it together, and it was kind of intimidating in that sense.
Yeah.
But also, no, negative points for you for talking during movies.
Oh yeah, I was the entertainment. They weren't entertained by Batman.
No, we paid money to be entertained by a movie, not by the crowd, not by the audience. We didn't pay.
They weren't entertained. These were DC hardcore. They were not entertained.
How do you know how they felt?
Because they took time to laugh at my jokes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I don't watch movies with you then.
And not to hurt Warner Brothers' feelings, but the theater wasn't that crowded anyway. I'm sorry to say.
Well, it was number one movie. I don't think we'll have to. I mean, they're already talking about sequels, so I think this one's got some good staying power. But we'll see.
Okay. Zoe Kravitz, A+. You looked great. You acted great. I enjoyed it.
Colin Farrell was unrecognizable.
Very unrecognizable.
That was wild.
Did really well. And I do like the imagery of the characters, because they weren't so spot on. Mm-hmm. You didn't quite know. You had to figure it out.
Yep, exactly. You weren't getting that comic book outfit that you would see in the characters. You really had to piece it together. Right.
Is that all you saw?
Yep, that's all I had a chance to see.
Okay, so there's a new show on Peacock called Joe versus Carol. And this is after the Tiger King documentary. I advise, if anyone has not seen the Tiger King documentary, please watch that. It is a true story based on real events. The real people are actually in the documentary, and they've created a miniseries starring John Cameron and Kate McKinnon. She's from Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. This show is hilarious, but it only works if you saw the documentary. You have to watch the documentary before you watch this show.
Do you have to see season 2 as well, or just season 1?
Just season 1.
Okay.
All you need to do is see the original movie, and then you can watch the series, and you'll get all the points that they're touching on. Because other than that, it's just a story, and it's a crazy story, but you won't get the jokes about the documentary. You have to watch it. Check it out. I find it hilarious.
I started it.
Would you say you started to watch it?
I started, yeah. I watched the first episode, I think. It was funny.
Yeah. And the last movie I saw, it's an indie film. It's a little weird, and to be honest, I only watched it because of the title, and then I read the overview. Then I wanted to watch it. The title is called "My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To." So that's kind of long for a title for a movie. I get drawn to things like that because it's a little weird to me. And it's basically an indie film, and it's a psychological thriller about a vampire. There's three siblings, an older brother and sister. They're taking care of their younger brother. The younger brother happens to be a vampire, but it's not like jump out, fangs, bite your neck kind of vampire. He's just like at home with some type of anemia, and he needs to be fed blood. So the brother and sister are murderers. They're just out here in the world killing homeless people because no one misses homeless people to feed their brother. And they had been doing this for quite some time. And things get a little out of hand when the sister uses someone that the brother knows outside of the home that she doesn't know that he knows as food for their younger brother. And then things start to spiral out of control. If you have an opportunity to check this indie film out, I think it's playing on Peacock as well. Film was made in 2020. It's old. I just happened upon it, but it's a pretty good psychological thriller. Not like in your face horror, but horror in the way of people could really be out here doing some murder stuff like this. It's really interesting. So check it out. That's all I have. Oh, and Steven, did I tell you I fell in love with Yellowstone, Kevin Costner? Did I tell you that last week? I'm watching Yellowstone on the advice of Real Time with Bill Maher from HBO. He put it out there that this is a good show, so I started watching it because I like Bill Maher. And wow, it's a lot of drama going on. Killing and sex and laundering money and murder and gangsters and
I heard it's like a soap opera set in Montana.
Yeah, it's so good. You gotta appreciate Kevin Costner, what he brings to the table. Yeah, definitely check that out. Yellowstone is that show right now for me.
Nice.
Steven?
Well, I watched Love is Blind.
The new season?
I watched the new season. It was good. Two couples stayed married or got married, and they actually had last Friday. They had the reunion show. So I guess they probably taped it all last year, but they went to see, catch up and see how the couple's doing. They're still married, and they really fell in love. One of the characters there was this Indian couple on there. Both of them had never dated another Indian person. And so they thought maybe it was because they were trying to fit in because they went to predominantly white schools. So they always he always dated blondes, and she always dated tall white guys, blondes and whatever. And so they connected and they decided to get engaged. The premise of the show is that they're locked in pods. They can't see each other. They only communicate through speaker in a room. And then after a set period of time, if they connect with someone, you propose. And so when you propose, they send you to Mexico, and then you're engaged for 4 weeks, I believe it's 4 weeks, and then you determine if you really want to get married at the end. And so this one couple, I just knew they were going to get together, but they didn't. But anyway, so the Indian couple, so he struggled, and I didn't really. I saw on Twitter they were, bash him on Twitter because he wasn't hugely attracted to the girl when he met her. He thinks she's awesome. He said he fell in love with her, but he just wasn't that sexual chemistry. He said, I feel like this is a family member. You know what I mean? And he even had a conversation with his mom about it because they meet the families and things like that. And so she is real confident because she lost 70 pounds and, she really feels good in her own skin. Well, anyway, so they get to you find out if you're getting married when you're at the altar. You have to, you holding hands, and then they say, "Is love blind?" And if it is, then they get married. If not, and she didn't marry him. She said, "I want someone to be sure that they're attracted to me," and whatever. Well, at the reunion show, they get time to sit back and watch everything. He came out very aggressive, and it backfired. The whole cast was on her side. The whole cast, they did not like the way they said, "This girl is awesome. She's gorgeous." It's one thing if you're not attracted to her, but don't go around telling everybody you're not attracted to her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's such an awesome person. I mean, when I tell you, the guys and the girls, they all had her back. And you can see, I think he thought he was coming to like an Atlanta Housewives reunion where they're being messy, and they weren't being messy. You know what I mean? They were just addressing what happened. And he was like, "Let's get into it." And they were like, "No." Even the host, Nick Lachey and his wife, they're the host. She cussed them out. I mean, but it was really good. So I watched that. Then Bel-Air. What can I say about Bel-Air? That is just a great show.
I did start watching that.
Is it any good? The trailers look really bad, but
it is very good. And the thing is, I didn't think it would be that good. You know what I mean? And I didn't have Peacock, and then I found out that it's free initially, but they ran game, got that $4.99. But it's really, really good. It's really, really good. The character's more down to earth.
Yeah, and it's more dramatic. It doesn't have the jokes and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want my jokes.
And then there's still some jokes in there, but it's just it's not like a comedy. Candy and the Gang, that's a new show by Candy Burris, Atlanta Housewives. She has her show centered around her restaurant, Old Lady Gang, and they have like a lot of cast on there. It's pretty good. I watched it today. It came out yesterday, but it's pretty good. And then I want to tell you about this one story. I like watching 2020, but you got to be mentally prepared. So this couple, they grew up in this, religious environment. They had 3 kids. I think one was autistic. And so the dad was really into music. He didn't work. He didn't keep a job. She was a nurse. She was the breadwinner. But he had this band that he was singing, and they were together for a long time. He ended up dying, and they think it's mysterious that he died. And then after that, the son, she moved to another house, and then the son dies. And then a few months later, her daughter is hospitalized, near death. Turns out this woman was poisoning them. She was giving them antifreeze.
What?
And mixing it in Coca-Cola.
Por qué? Why? For what? Why?
That's what they will figure out. She says there's more to it. She's trying to say that he had a drug problem, he was alcoholic, but no one believes that. No one believes that. Even when he died, his autopsy didn't have anything in his system.
His alcoholism and drug addiction killed him?
Well, she was trying to say that she was doing it because he was abusive at home. But no one believes that because everyone knows him, really, really liked him. And then her story changed. Then she tried to say that she came up with all these different conspiracies, but she never answered the question. And so now then it turns out the youngest daughter was in on it. She was in on it. And so the daughter that did get poisoned, she is better, but she has life-altering, side effects because she's been poisoned for so long. And so the mom and the youngest daughter are in jail. The youngest daughter, she's doing 40 years, then she can face up for parole, and the mom's doing life. But the woman from 2020 went and interviewed her, and just was confused because the woman, she was, very soft-spoken. It was like she convinced herself that she was in the right here. Like she believes it, you know what I mean? Because they had different therapists that were, watching the interviews and whatnot. It was just very weird. I said, now she was poisoned to her own family. Even her children, out of all, you know what I mean?
That's wild. That's why I don't watch 2020.
I know. But no, there's a lot of good TV. A lot of shows have are in their season finale. I already had the season finales and whatnot, but a lot of good stuff out there.
Nice.
And they come down the pipeline. I know the Batman was the big thing.
So no, I'm gonna still try to catch up on Oscar movies. Both Drive My Car, the foreign film that got nominated, and West Side Story are now available on streaming. So if you have Disney Plus or HBO, you can watch those. So I think I'll give them a shot. I wasn't planning to watch either of them, but since they're up for Best Picture, I want to see what they got. But that's it for me.
Have you heard anything about this film, The Worst Person in the World?
The Worst Person in the World. No, is it a new one?
Yeah, and it's getting all these rave reviews. I think I want to check that out.
The Worst Person in the World.
This is up Steven's alley. Yeah, he loves this kind of show.
It must be a bad person.
You know, I go for them kind of titles. This is a weird title. I like that.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't heard of this, but it looks interesting.
Not the worst person in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, check that one out. Well, guys, as always, thank you for letting us know what to spend our time and our money on and whatnot. It's good, Chike. You got to go back in the theater finally.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back after this.
Thanks.